everybody, but it is for somebody. Well, hello everybody. It's Geo, and I am the content creator for Geo's Blogs. I am here tonight. I will be keep these going every Tuesday for Geo's Blogs because, frankly, I like doing them. I got myself moved and everything, so I am in a new place. I hadn't had time to figure out what background I wanted, so I just threw up my YouTube pillows and my subscribe pillow and my Texas picture up. So I hope that's good enough. I have to get my lighting right, but I think you guys can see me okay. All right. So I'm going to go to the chat and see who's all in here. And we have Boss Lady Denise. Hey, Jayden. Hey, how y'all doing? I'm so glad that you guys are here. So I'm going to refresh the screen so that I can see what's happening in my chat here. Okay, so tonight, oh wait, I'm so glad to see Boss Lady Denise. Hey, how you doing? Jaden, it's so good to see you. Normally I go for an hour, but if I have a smaller crowd, I try to keep it at least 30 to 35 minutes is what I really like to do. But sometimes when I have a bigger crowd, I read all the comments. So I just want to go ahead and get started and people can catch the replay. So tonight we're talking about don't give your personal power away. Okay. Now, before I get into it, I just need to say what Geo's Vlogs is all about. It's about my family life. It's about my life, what I do, with the money that I earn from my home business. I pay my bills with it, and then I vlog my lifestyle. So that is what Geo's Vlogs is all about. So let's get into the topic. I'm going to pull up my notes here so that I can see the notes that I have made. And the tonight's subjects, like I said, is don't give your personal power away. So when I thought about this topic, I was like, okay, maybe some people don't know what personal power is. Personal power belongs to you. It is what you think of yourself and how far you will go in doing things and what's important to you. So this is what I saw on the internet, and I definitely want to share this with you guys. Personal power, it is someone that focuses on their desired results of oneself and the ability to cooperate with others. Wow. Okay. It did not say that you be selfish and cooperate by yourself. It says that it is someone that is focused on their desired results of oneself. It is about what you think of yourself, how good of a person you want to be. And then the ability to cooperate with others. Personal power lets you lead by example, be inspiring, influence your peers by fostering a positive worldwide view or world view. Personal power will also let you be assertive but respectful, successful but humble, driven but stable. That is all what personal power helps you become. Okay, so you have to figure out for yourself what is it that you really want and how do you really, really, really want to live your life. Okay, I myself personally just want to be happy. Okay, I myself personally just want to do good and help somebody else. Because see, when I used to work in this treatment center, it was just the little things that I did for the girls that put a smile on their face. It wasn't this big old thing that I did that put a smile on their face. It was just the little things. Like, going outside, we had a garden and we did flowers and bringing them inside the house and putting them in the flower pot and being there when they came downstairs to say good morning and seeing the big smile on their face. Okay, that makes me happy. It makes me feel like I'm doing good for someone in this world. Okay, and personal power will keep you driven to be successful in whatever it is that you want to do. All right, so an example, now that we know about what personal power is, let's talk about an example of giving away your personal power. Hey, Marlene, welcome in. Thank you so much for coming. Okay, uh, we talked about personal power and what it is. And since I'm just going to tell Marlene what I found out what it was, it is someone that focused on their desired results of oneself and then the ability to cooperate with others. Okay, it lets you lead by example. You can be inspiring. All right, you influence your peers by fostering a positive worldview, and it helps you be assertive but respectful, successful but humble, and driven but stable. Okay, so now let's talk about an example of giving away your personal power. For an example, listen at this because I know I've done this and sometimes I still do it. Okay, so let's just talk about it. Giving away your personal power. For an example, a business executive confided that an associate always brings out the worst in him. Okay, I've said that a lot of times, especially a lot of times before I went to the therapist. I let other people control my emotions. Say, oh, every time I go to work, this girl always make me go there. 10. I be thinking I'm gonna go to 10 before I get to the girl. That's giving away your personal power because already you have decided that you're going to let somebody else control your personal power, your emotions. Okay, now listen at this one. Another example of giving away your personal power. A stay-at-home mom parent said her entire day hinges almost entirely on what type of mood her spouse is in. Lord have mercy. So if your spouse come home all angry and, blaming you for this or that, so that's going to determine how your day goes. That's giving away your personal power, even if it is your spouse, So I would say if that was my spouse, probably wouldn't be with him, but I'm just going to say this. I would say, well, how else, how was your day? How can I support you or what do you need? Instead of, I'm going to keep my personal power. That's how I would do it. But most people, they just get in a bad mood because the spouse is in a bad mood. And you really don't have to do that. Okay. Now, this is something that I learned from going to therapy. This is not something that I, learned overnight. No, this took practice to learn about my personal power. Hey, just Teresa, I'm so glad you're here. Thank you so much for coming in. Okay, so this is not something that if you don't know about your personal power, then you don't know that you have it. So you don't know that what to do to keep it. Okay, so personal power is all about who you really want to be and who controls your emotions. Nobody can control your emotions but you. You can allow other people to do it, but you don't have to. And that is what we're talking about tonight. You don't have to, okay? At some point, almost everyone has given someone else power over the way they think, feel, or behave. And it is so true because I used to do it all the time until I found out it was another way to handle this, that I didn't have to let somebody make me feel bad. I didn't have to let somebody make me cry. If you make Geo cry, and especially if you my significant other, call yourself being my significant other, and you make me cry, you got to go. I mean, right off the bat, I'm not putting up with it. You shouldn't have made me cry. You shouldn't have talked to me like that. I am a precious child of God. Today, I know my worth. And you don't get to make me cry and making me feel bad because you don't feel good about yourself. No way. And I had a guy that lived in Detroit. And I think I met him because we went to a motivational conference, and we used to talk on the phone, and all of a sudden he just started talking nasty to me, and he made me cry. And I remember saying, oh, he made me cry. I don't want to be bothered with him. But the next time he called, see, because I didn't know about my personal power at that time, I took his call, and we started back talking, and I think about that today. And I was like, if I just knew what I knew today, I would have never taken his call. I would have told him, do da loo la, and I'm not going to tell y'all what that meant. Okay? So here we go. Giving away your personal power robs you of mental strength. But maintaining control in your life requires that you make a conscious choice to take back your power. And the way I took back my power was I decided to do something about my life. I decided that something ain't right. And guess what? I didn't even decide it. God decided for me because he broke me down at work. And then the CEO of my department told me I couldn't come back to work and make no money unless I got a therapist or went to a group. Okay? All right? Before you can create positive change, you need to recognize the ways in which you give your power away. And that is what I really want to talk about. Here are ways to keep your personal power and not give it away. Number one, now listen at this. This is good. And anybody that want to come up and talk about it or say something that happened to them about giving away their personal power, I would drop the link in the chat. Let me do that now before I get into it. I'm going to put the invite link now in the chat. You're welcome to come up. Bring your link. Okay, there's the link if anybody want to come up. And I'll hear the bell when you come up. So let me go back to my notes here. Okay, number one, here are ways to keep your personal power. Number one, and we all know this, but we don't know that it will help us keep our personal power. Number one, don't waste energy on complaining. Don't waste energy on complaining. There's a big difference between complaining and problem solving. Okay? Venting to your friends, family, and coworkers keep you focused on the problem and prevents you from creating a solution. Grumbling implies that you have no power over your situation and also shows that you like power over your attitude. I was like, wow. Okay, but see, there is a big difference between complaining. If you everything that happened to you, you complain about it. He said this, you complain about it. My channel ain't growing, you complain about it. You ain't doing a darn thing to help it grow, or maybe looking at yourself and see what do I need to do, but all you doing is blaming YouTube. Okay? And that's not going to work. Or you at work and something happens at work and you just want to blame everybody else instead of looking at yourself to see if the problem is with you. Okay, now you can call your friends. Like I might call Teresa and say, Teresa, this happened to me at work, and I don't know, and a blah 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 blah. Of course, Teresa is my friend. She is gonna listen to me. But one thing about a good friend, a healthy thinking friend, is they're going to say, girl, I hear you. I would be mad too. But listen, I was in that situation and this is what I did. See, that's going to throw that person into the solution. Instead, you're going to help them get out of the problem and into the solution. I'm very good at doing that because I practiced that. When my therapist taught me this, she said, you were just sitting in my chair complaining. And I was like, what? There are lots of things that happen in my life that I don't even discuss with people, or come on YouTube and say this and that about my family life or situations that happen to me. For what? Because what the first thing I do, I probably be mad and this and that. And sometimes I try to play the blame game, but I don't do. I may stay in that about a minute, and then I'm finna call Marlene, or I'm finna call my oldest sister, because I know if I call Beverly don't even care about what you going through. My oldest sister, she care about what you gonna do about it. Okay, that's why I love my oldest sister Beverly. She just don't have time for the nonsense. Okay, that happened. What you gonna do about it? Okay. And so all the time, if I want to get right out of the problem and into the solution, I call my older sister right away. And then I say, yeah, I have to ask myself if I played a part in it. What part did you play in this, Geo? Because sometimes we do play a part in the reason why something happens and then we complaining about it. So there is a big difference between complaining, and problem solving. If you don't know that it's okay to maybe just vent to your friends and family and co-workers, they'll listen. But it's also important to jump right into the solution. It's also important to ask yourself, did I do something to bring this on? Okay. If so, learn from it. And then you won't be, every time you feel like you want to complain, of course, sometimes people do stuff and we do have to complain about it. And we don't play a part in it. But these are the questions. I'm telling you how to find out all of these things. And grumbling, like they said, and it really is true, when you blah, 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 all the time, every time I see you, you talk about the same old thing that happened to you. Every time I'm online with you, you talk about the same old person, the same this, the same that. All you're doing is giving that person power over you, power over how you act, power over how you respond, power over what kind of attitude you gonna have. When I think about that, I be like, girl, I'm not gonna do any of that. I'm gonna stop complaining, Marlene, and get into the solution. Couple of things has happened in my life. But I think I might have complained about it maybe about 2-3 minutes. And I believe Marlene said to me, you sure you okay? And I said, yeah, I'm fine. Because see, I jumped right into the solution. Okay, let me go see what I need to do. Because hey, it was my fault, I think. Some of it. You know what I'm saying? So I had to get with it and get into the problem and fix it. And so far, it's been doing good. I used to only complain. Now. If I can't change, I find out how to cope with it. That's right, Marlene. You have to, because if you don't, you're going to be giving your personal power away. And that's it. And it does affect your mental health. Okay, let's move on to number 2. Ways to keep your personal power. And I think Marlene just said what number 2 is. Accept responsibility for how you feel. Accept responsibility for how you feel. Now, I might feel mad, angry, and sometimes I don't like to say the word mad, but I need to use the word angry. I feel angry, ashamed, disappointed, let down, just hurt. First of all, you have to recognize how you're feeling. Okay, don't let other people's behavior dictate your emotions. Okay, say people. Okay. Just a second. Okay, here we go. Hey, Marlene.
Hey, Gio.
Okay, let me just remove this background because Okay, there we go. Now, let me just say this part here, Marlene, first, where I'm at when I say that accept responsibility for how you feel. You have to say, I'm feeling hurt now. I'm feeling angry. I'm feeling, accept the responsibility. Don't just brush it off under the rug like you don't feel nothing, because baby, it's gonna come out sideways to your children. Angry, you may say something stupid to your kids, to your husband, and there go an argument. But if you say, I feel angry, okay, then you are accepting responsibility for how you feel, and then you don't let other people dictate your emotions. Okay, go ahead, Marlene.
Yeah, that's the whole thing about it is that you have to, like you said, you have to accept responsibility for the things that you do, but also you have to tell people, when you mess up, you have to tell people that that's how we show that we're mature and that we're willing to do something about it, because that separates a mature person from a person who's immature. An immature person continues to do the same things over and over again and not care about the things that they do. And after a while, a lot of people will separate from you because nobody wants to be around somebody who never wants to make changes, never wants to do right, and never wants to admit their faults.
That's so true. Accept responsibility for how you feel. Now, this is what the article said. It said, don't let other people's behavior dictate your emotions. Wow. Saying this, listen at this, saying your mother in law makes you feel bad about yourself, or claiming that your boss makes you mad suggests that they have power over you. So if your mother-in-law makes you feel bad all the time, then she has the power over you because you are allowing her to do that. Okay? And you can just say to yourself, well, that's her opinion, but for me, I know I'm good. You know what I'm saying? Sometimes you don't even have to say nothing, just say, you know, and let it slide right off your back. Sometimes you have to have thick skin. Okay, or claiming that your boss makes you angry suggests that they have power over you and how you feel. Instead, accept that it is up to you to manage your emotions regardless of how others behave. Now, I'm gonna just be flat out honest, Marlene. That was a hard one for me. And sometimes it still is today. See, because I'm not gonna sit up here and act like just because I went to therapy for 5 years, I'm good. Yes, I'm good. I'm better. But every day, Marlene, I just try to be the best person and keep working and climbing that mountain to be the best person I can be and learn more and more about how to control my emotions, because sometimes they still get away with me. What about you, Marlene?
Yes, I can say the same thing because just think about what happened today, Gio. I did something I wasn't. I did something that I wasn't supposed to do, but I didn't blame anybody. I said, "Man, I can't believe I did that." It's being mature and saying, "Man, why did you do that?" And you have to question. And I can say for myself, the reason why I did what I did today is because I was doing too much. I'm doing the most, and I wasn't checking behind myself. So it's a teaching lesson. And it will help you to mature and to not to do the same thing all over again the next time. You
Right.
gotta, you gotta be responsible for yourself.
True. I want to say hello to Brian Lynn. Welcome in. And loving me some Tracy Anderson. Welcome in. And shout out to the six in the chat. I appreciate that you guys are here. We're talking about don't give away your personal power. Okay. And how to keep your personal power. And how to keep your personal power. Number one, we talked about don't waste energy complaining. And now we're on number two, accept responsibility for how you feel. Because when you do that, and instead accept that it's up to you to manage your emotions, regardless of how others behave. There are lots of stuff go on YouTube, and they go back and forth, back and forth. And I'm like, and when I first came on here, I used to be kind of like, child, I'll make a video. But then when I then I discussed it with Marlene, and even though Marlene said, "Girl, don't even respond," and it took me, and I just said, "You know what? She right." But before I could really not do what I wanted to do, Marlene, I really had to go through my feelings and accept that what the person said hurt me. You understand what I'm saying?
Exactly, Gio. It's not that when you are, accept responsibility for the wrongs, the things that you do, you also have to get things off your chest when someone hurts your feelings, when they disappoint you, when you do something. You got to get all of those things off your chest too. You can't hold those things inside. Um,
Right.
you know,
And
y- you
it's
know, we're human beings.
Right. And it's just not all about when people hurt you. You really got to look at it and say, what part did I play in this, if any? You know? But maybe if I hadn't have done this, they wouldn't have done that. You understand? You know where I'm coming from, Marlene?
Yes, exactly. Because there's some times where we are going back and forth and engaging and saying things and telling our personal business when we don't need to. So we gotta accept that part too. Own your own stuff.
Right.
That's how you grow, that's how you mature, and that's how you get better relationships. I can say before I didn't care before because I was a toxic person. I only cared about myself. I was selfish. But when I started to grow and work on myself, I said I can't just think about myself. I have to think when I do something, how do I make other people feel?
Yeah.
I don't like to be treated that way. So, you know, that shows that you're maturing and you're growing personally.
Right. And these things, guys, we didn't learn this like overnight. It took practice because I used to I messed up a lot before I really start saying to myself, you got to do better. You know what the steps are. You know that if somebody hurt you, you don't have to lash back out right away. Just keep still. And I practiced that. And today I'm so much better. But every now and then, when something come out the blue, I have no idea, then I'll be like, yeah, want to do something. But then, I know that when I want to do something, I know to get on the phone, call Marlene or call my oldest sister, Inette, Marie. I got people in my life that really care about me. It'll give me time to calm down and really think about what it is so that that person will not take my personal power and control my emotions. When I think about it like that, Marlene, it makes me want to work harder on myself. What about you?
Exactly, Gio. It shows that, you're not just about yourself anymore. You're not just selfish. You care about, your actions, that how we act, it affects other people. We don't always know the words that we say, it can last for years on other people, you know? People don't always remember exactly what you said, but they will always remember how you make them feel. So we have to be very thoughtful about the things that we say. And there are times where we want to say stuff and we just don't say it because we already know if I say anything more, I'm going to go off.
Right. So right, and that's how come I just try to practice. And I've been out of therapy for a long time, but I my life has gotten so much better because of therapy that I don't want to stop practicing what I have learned to live a better life, a healthier life, and a happier life. So let's move on to number 3, establish healthy boundaries. Now it says this, y'all: giving in to guilt trips or refusing to speak up for yourself gives power to other people. Lord, giving in the guilt trip. I don't like that guilt trip stuff. You, Marlene?
I actually, well, I'll be honest. I was the main person that used to do the guilt trips before I had therapy. I love to make people feel guilty so that they could do what I wanted to do. And then I learned that that wasn't a good thing. You can't do that.
No. You know, today when somebody tried to guilt trip me into something, the first thing I said, don't be trying to guilt trip me. I know about that. You know, I used to do that myself. You know, this is the thing. When you begin to change and learn healthier behaviors and stuff, you're going to recognize when people do toxic behaviors because you used to do them. You see, this is how come I say I don't like guilt trips. If I'm going to do something, let me do it on my own. Okay. And another thing is that it says, and refusing to speak up for yourself. Today, I'm going to speak up. And sometimes fear will make you not want to speak up because this person may not talk to me no more, or this person may not come watch my videos no more, or this person may say make a video about me, or my family may not say. I don't care today. Okay. I'm going to speak up for myself. And that is just the bottom line. Because if I don't, people will take my power and I'm not willing to give it to you. I've worked hard to get my power back. I ain't willing to give it to you. I am willing to tell you the truth that I know I'm not willing to do that. Why? Because I just don't want to. I don't have to give you no reason because I don't want to do it. That's enough reason right there. What about you, Marlene?
Yeah, I always say at the end of the day, I have to look at myself in the mirror. I have to look at my own self and I have to like that person. And I found that before I would say yes to things that I didn't want to do. And then I would go to the event and I'm complaining the whole time. Whereas now, if it's not something I like, it's not something within what I want to do, the plans for my life, I just say no. Like, I really do care for you and I want to support you, but I know if I'm there, it's going to make me feel unhappy and I don't want to take away from your peace and your joy.
Right.
So I'll send you a gift, I'll do something like that, but I'd rather be honest with people. Not all the time people are going to like when you're honest, but at the end of the day, you have to live with yourself.
That's what I'm talking about. Because you'll come home and say, why did I let them do that to me? Why didn't I say no? I don't know. I used to do that. That's how I know, baby. I ain't feeling what? No, I don't want to do that. And I mean that. Rather than blame them for wasting your time or forcing you to do something, recognize that you're in charge of yourself. Establish healthy physical and emotional boundaries that give you control over how you spend your time and with whom you spend it with. Okay? Number 4, let's move on to number 4. Practice forgiveness. Now, that took me a while to learn how to do. Okay? But I managed it. Okay? Today I can forgive you. I may not have nothing else to do with you, but I can forgive you. Now it says here, holding a grudge against someone who has hurt you doesn't punish the other person. It only punishes you. When you waste vulnerable time thinking about a person that wronged you, it takes away your ability to enjoy the moment. Forgiving someone is the best way to take your power back. But to be clear, forgiveness isn't about saying what the person did was okay. No, that's what they did is not okay. It's about choosing to let go of the hurt and anger that interferes with your ability to enjoy life. That is why when it was explained, my therapist explained that to me like that, I said, ooh, this is a job for God. I say, because the person that I need to forgive hurt me to the core of my soul. And that was going to take something. That was going to take a power greater than myself. The Holy Spirit, the angels, and Jesus Christ Himself, Marlene. Okay? And once I just say I surrender to the power of forgiveness, is when I felt free. And it took me over a year to do it, but I have learned how to forgive people. And because I know it is not for them, it is for me to be free. What about you, Marlene?
Yeah, that's something that I learned, that the forgiveness before, I thought when I forgave people before, I thought that when I say I forgive them, I meant that it was okay what they did to me. And it's not that. That forgiveness is a gift that you give yourself so that you can move on, so that you don't have hatred for that person, so that you can get into your purpose and your plan, so that you can experience peace and sleep and not be stressed out.
Thank
So
you.
I had to do that forgiveness part for me so that I could experience all those other things.
Right. And like I said, once I learned what forgiveness was really for and who it was for, I was willing to forgive. But I knew that I needed, this higher strength to help me do it. But once I did it, girl, let me tell y'all in the chat, I'm talking about free. I woke up one day and I knew I had forgiven the person. And you talking about it just lifted up off me. And I had never, I can't remember the last time I felt that kind of joy before I had forgiven. So if someone has done something to you, it's okay to forgive them. It is not okay what they done. Okay? You don't have to have anything else to do with them. But if you're carrying it around and they constantly renting space in your head, forgive them. Okay? Let's move on to number 5. Know your values. It says here, when you're not clear what your values are, you are at risk of becoming a helpless passenger rather than a confident driver of your own life. You'll be at risk of jumping on board with other people's ideas and may be easily led astray. Take back your power by acknowledging your values and living true to what's important to you. See, you know, I agree with that. See, because before I didn't know my worth. I didn't know I was a precious child of God. I didn't know who I was. But when I went through therapy and I began to love myself, that's when I found my worth. Okay? You're not going to treat me no any kind of way because I'm a precious child of God. I surrendered. Okay? And I admit I was messing my life up and that I needed a power greater than myself to help me know who I was, my value, whatever it is that you need to help you know that you're worthy of everything God has for you. Or if you believe in God, whatever it is, please know that you are worth everything that you can like money. If you want a home business, you are worth that. Go for it. If you want 5 monetized YouTube channel, you are worth that. Go for it. If you want to be the CEO of some big company, go for it. Don't let people tell you what you're worth. You have to know your worth. Go ahead, Marlene.
Yeah, and I think that that's the difference. It's not until you are convinced yourself before you can do anything. Because people could tell you all day how amazing you are and all your gifts, and you can do this and you can do that and you should love yourself and you're so wonderful. But if you personally don't believe that, there's nothing that you can do and there's nothing that you can be. You have to be fully convinced of love. You have to be convinced that you're worthy. You have to be convinced that you have talents and you can do amazing things. And once I stepped into those those steps, then I was able to do great things after that, because it's something that you can hear things for years. People can tell you things. You can practice things spiritually that can help you with it, but it's not until you believe things where you can take off.
Right. You have to how I started to know what my worth was. I finally started to love me, Gio. I started taking up for myself. I stopped letting people just treat me any kind of way. I stood up for me. Okay. And sometimes when you do that, people will leave out your life. And I'm just saying this for me. I ain't saying it for nobody else in the chat or whatever. To me, good riddance. Uh, okay, because you were just in my life trying to mess it up because you don't have one or you're not willing to make no changes. So let's move on to number 6. Don't waste time on unproductive thoughts. Have you ever come home from work and spent the entire evening wishing you didn't have to go back again tomorrow? Yes. Suddenly, you're giving your 8-hour workday 12 hours of your time. Take control over the thoughts that occupy your mind so that you don't give more brain power to areas of your life that don't deserve it. Okay? So I used to think that when I had this job, I really didn't like, oh God, what time is it? I got to get up and go back to that job in 8 hours. When
Hmm.
I should have been saying, oh, let me get creative so that I can move out of that job, maybe get my own business, blah, blah, blah. And it wasn't until after therapy that I recognized that, and that's how I left my job. But before then, I was like that, wishing I didn't have to go back. So sometimes when you're sitting there wishing that you don't have to go back to work, or oh, I got to go do this and that and that, think about what else you can do to move away from that situation instead of letting unproductive thoughts clog your mind. Go ahead, Marlene.
Yeah, that's the whole thing, is you have to understand the power that you have. And even if sometimes we can't change our circumstance, because there's certain people that are people who are going to stay in our life, they're going to stay in our life because of, just who they are in our life. Certain people like family and stuff, we can't just dismiss them completely. You have to still deal with them, but it's ways that you deal with them. It's things that you say to them, like, I'm not going to allow you to disrespect me. Just like you want respect, you're going to respect me, or I'm going to stop talking to you. There's certain things you have to command over your life. You can't let other people control you. And another thing I learned is that you don't have to be around them.
Yeah.
You don't have to. All of that is choices that we have to make every day.
That is so true, Marlene. Let's move on to number 7 so that we won't go over our hour here. Avoid language that implies you're a victim. How to take back your personal power. You need to avoid language that implies you're a victim. Saying things like, I have to work 60 hours a week, or I have no choice but to say yes. It infers that you are a victim of unfortunate circumstances. While there will be certainly while there will certainly be consequences for the decisions you make, acknowledge that you always have choices. When I was in therapy, I didn't. My therapist said, "But you got a choice." I said, "What you mean I got a choice?" That's I'm telling y'all. Okay, you have a choice. You don't have to agree with people. You don't have to do what they ask you to do. If you can't work a 60-hour week, you don't have to say this. Say, I would love to do this for you, but I cannot work a 60-hour week. I have to be at home with my kids. You don't have to say yes to everything. Most people are going to understand that and say, well, thank you for letting me know, and they'll go head on to the next person. Okay, you don't have to be a victim and say yes to every darn thing. What you had to say about that, Marlene?
Oh, I got a lot to say about it because I was that person. I was the biggest enabler. That is what I did. I used to say yes to everything and then complain about it. Well, my therapist would always tell me then if you don't like doing something so much, then start saying no to it. And I said, but I don't want to disappoint people. I don't want to let people down. I don't want to do this. I don't want to do that. Well, she said, well, if you're not willing to do something to change your behavior, then don't complain about it. If you don't want to do something, then don't do it. So it's either you say yes and you're fully on board and you enjoy it and go along with the ride, or you say no and then keep your peace. But
Right.
I had to learn to choose.
Yes, and these things that we're talking about tonight, guys in the chat, it took me a little while to learn how to do it. Okay, but because I had somebody guiding me through and making and I could go back and say, oh, I made a decision to do this, or I told this person no, and they was a little bit angry, and so my therapist would say, good, you stood up for yourself. You know what I'm saying? So then she said, you need to practice more of that. It took practice for me to keep my personal power. It took years for me to really be the lady or the woman or the girl that you see in the front of you today. This stuff don't happen overnight, but you can learn new behaviors by practicing the new behaviors, right, Marlene?
Yeah, and that's the whole thing about it is that I didn't understand how much power I had. I have the power to have peace of mind. I have the power to say no. I have the power to say I want to do something else. You don't always have to go along with the group. Maybe that's not your path, what you want. And I had to learn to be okay with walking certain roads alone. That if you want to have your peace, you're just not going to be able to be in a group and with other people. You got to learn to be more independent and enjoy your time by yourself. And that took me a long time to be okay with just being by myself.
Right. And learning to love yourself and be okay and be in the space. See, this is how come when I'm by myself in my apartment, I'm not alone because I got me. You know what I'm saying, Marlene? It's like I got things I can do. I got people I can call. Or if I don't want to just be up in my apartment all the time, go take a walk or go fly somewhere, go on vacation. You have a lot of power. And people don't understand that they have power to do whatever they want to do. Okay? And you got YouTube, go live. It's
Hmm.
people to come. All right, let's move on to number 8. Make your self worth independent of other people's opinion. If you want to keep your personal power, you have to make your self worth independent of other people's opinion. Now, what does that mean? If your self worth depends on others holding you in high regard, You're likely to become a people pleaser. If your self worth depends on others holding you up high in regard, you'll likely become a people pleaser. Not everyone needs to like you, nor do they have to agree with your lifestyle. Elevate the merit of criticism you receive, but never allow anyone personal opinion determine your self worth. Okay, like she don't know what she doing, and why she doing this, and I don't care what they say. I know what I'm doing. I know my self-worth. I know who I am. I know my story. Can't nobody tell it but me. I'm okay. I'm good. People gonna always think something bad about you. They're gonna always have something stupid to say. Okay, and so if you let them tear down your self-worth, and you looking for them to say, oh, Geo is this and she's that, and she knows what she's doing, and she's always saying the right things, and I just love her. If you're looking for all the people to say that all the time, then you're likely to become a people pleaser. So whatever they want you to do, that's what you're gonna do. So come on with it, Marlene.
Well, I had to learn about the opinions of others. I think that was probably 2 more years of therapy, just, learning to be okay with my own opinion. That my opinion can be different. I can have different thoughts. I can have different opinions. I cannot like other people. Other people cannot like me, and that's okay. It's irrelevant to my life if you like me or not. You got to learn to like your own life and to make your life happy. You got to make
True.
yourself happy, and you can't depend on other people to make you happy. And I think that that's the problem with most people. They depend on other people to make them happy instead of making themselves happy.
Thank you. And I see it like it's just like when you give lives on YouTube. There are certain people that's gonna like what you have to say, and they're gonna show up all the time. There are certain people that ain't gonna come to your live, or maybe it's not that they don't like what you have to say, but you're just not their cup of tea. And that's okay. You know what I'm saying? Because everybody is not going to like you. And when I finally understood that, I just love myself even more. Because whoever God put in my chat, like I say, this channel may not be for everybody, but it is for somebody. That's who I'm happy with. Okay, so my self-worth don't depend on who's holding me high. I hold myself high, you know, and that I had to learn too. I had to practice that. So that is, please practice on your self worth. Tell yourself that you love yourself. Tell yourself that you are all that and a bag of chips. And if you are a believer, tell yourself, I am a precious child of God. Nothing is impossible for me to do today. All I got to do is just put forth some effort and do it. I can do it. What about that, Marlene?
Yeah, well, one of the things that I learned is I was always the person in my family that was the support person for everybody. Everybody depended on me, but then I didn't have anybody that I could depend on when I needed support. So
Yeah,
I had to learn to say, just Marlene, just wake up and then give everything else to God. Because there's certain things that you just aren't going to be able to do, and you're not always going to have support from people, but that's where your spiritual side comes in. You got to work on your own personal relationship,
right,
spiritually, so that you feel okay. Because I'm telling you, if you're always trying to trust in people to be there and support you, you will always be disappointed.
right. I found that there's just a dot of people that's there for me. That's really there for me and that will support me and that is really happy for my success. But I'm the one that's happy, really happy for my success because I work for it. Okay. And you know, my self worth, like I said, I had to learn what my self worth was. It wasn't until I loved Geo and that I am happy being who I am and in my skin. Let's move on to the last point here. We was talking about don't give away your personal power, and the way that you don't give it away. The last point is be willing. It said be willing to stand out from the crowd. Don't I know? Be willing to stand out from the crowd. Self doubt and fear can lead you to want to blend in with those around you. But trying to fit in with the crowd will cause you to disguise who you really are. Trust that you're mentally strong enough to stand out and dare to be different. Okay, so you must be willing to stand out from the crowd. Okay, just because the crowd want to go and jump that big ditch over there, now do you really want to go jump that big ditch? How you know you're not gonna fall? You understand? I ain't willing to do it. I'm not willing to follow the crowd, okay? Especially if they're going to do something wrong or it's just something that I don't want to do. But it says self doubt and fear can lead you to want to blend in with those around you because fear will tell you you ain't going to have them as your friend. If you don't do it, they're gonna talk about you. They are not gonna want to be your friend. Okay, so be be aware when those kind of thoughts come up and say, well, they can go on. You fear you can go sit your butt down in that chair because I'm not finna follow them and go to jail or whatever they finna do. I'm just not gonna do it. Now it took time for me to practice that because all the things that I'm talking about tonight and Marlene is talking about, we just didn't just come out of therapy just knowing this. We knew what we needed to do and we had the tools, but we needed to take those tools and practice every day of our life. It takes when you do this, you get all your power back. But it takes willingness. It takes you wanting to make that change to take your power back. If you're not willing to do it, then you're never going to have that kind of power. You're going to always be jealous of people. You're going to be a people pleaser. You always gonna be saying she thinks she's something. You ain't gonna even know why you jealous of folks. You're jealous because you're not owning your own personal power. We have a lot of power to say yes and no to whatever it is that we want. So those are my closing remarks, and we're gonna hear from Marlene.
Yeah, I just wanted to say that, there's nothing like knowing yourself, loving yourself, believing in yourself, and there is so much power in knowing that you can have an opinion that's different from others, and that's okay. Is something, it gives you so much power and value to your life when you can just say, I'm me, I can be different, I can say no. Other people don't have to like me, and I'm okay with that because I'm okay with myself and I love myself.
Right. And for those that came in late, we were talking about don't give away your personal power. And I just want to just go over what is your personal power. It is someone or you that focus on your desired results of yourself and the ability to cooperate with others. Personal power lets you lead by example. It lets you be inspiring. It helps you to influence your peers by fostering a positive worldview. Personal power will allow you to be assertive but respectful, successful but humble, and driven but stable. So, guys, take if you came in late, just do the replay to find out how not to give away your personal power. It is so important that you keep it and know your worth. And the best thing to do is just to love yourself. You know, I get up in the morning sometimes. I said, you know what, Gia, I just love you, girl. You all that in a bag of chips. You are a precious child of God. Whatever come your way, don't let your emotions get the better of you. You need to call somebody before you respond to any mess in your life. See, this is what I say to myself so that I can steady practice the tools that I need to practice to keep my personal power intact. I am Geo. I am the content creator for Geo's vlogs and for Geo's Power Hour. I want to thank my guest, the Marlene Sanders Show. She has her podcast that is the name of her YouTube channel podcast, The Marlene Sanders Show. Please go over there because Marlene puts it down. And she has a great following over there. So, Marlene, thank you so much for being here. I want to thank everybody in the chat for coming out. Loving me some Tracy Anderson. I think that was Saint Loves You. Well, welcome in and thank you so much for coming. I believe Boss Lady Denise was here and Brian Lynn was here. And Just Teresa was here. So, Miss Yo-Yo's Closet just came in. Thank you so much for coming in, Miss Yo-Yo. I appreciate it. For those that want to know everything that we talked about owning your own personal power and don't give it away, please hit the replay. And with that said, I'm going to say bye-bye. Thank you guys for coming, and thank you so much, Marlene. Bye-bye, everybody. May not be for everybody, but it is for somebody.